I'm Never Again with Disket, coming to you with another recipe and showing you how cooking outdoors has never been better. Today's episode is brought to you by the Lion Disket. Again, keep in mind that every disket is fully customizable to your design. Back to cooking. What we're going to do today, as I mentioned before, is pork fajitas. So to get started on that, again, I've already got my cooking disc clean, ready to go. To start it, push in the knob, slowly rotate to the left, and I got ignition. So I'm going to adjust this. You'll notice I have a nice hot blue flame. I'm going to let that disc start getting heated up just a little bit. I've already got a little bit of the pork cut up. I've got to cut up some more of it. I'm going to start off first by adding just 3 or 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Get that nice and hot. Now what I've got is I've got some Montreal steak seasoning. I've got salt, pepper. I've got my fajita mix seasoning. I've got green bell peppers, red bell peppers, and onions. We're going to top it off with some cheese, some sour cream, some guacamole, and of course we're going to serve it in a nice flour tortilla, which will show you how we're going to warm that up towards the end of the meal. Again, anytime you're adding any kind of food to the disc when there's oil in it, use caution so that there's no moisture that's going to make that grease or oil pop up right at you. Now what we're using here is actually a boneless pork loin that we're cutting up into strips. Well, let's get started. We're taking pork chops, boneless pork chops we cut out of the loin, and we're going to cut that into strips. Now, I usually cut pretty thin strips just because it'll cook that much faster. So you got here, these are just about a 1/4 inch thick, cutting them against the grain of the meat. Now this particular recipe is going to take somewhere close to 20 minutes to cook, and basically the longest part of that is just cooking the pork right. You don't want to undercook it and serve it where it's not properly cooked. I'll give that a quick stir. What I want to do is, you'll see there, I'm browning the pork itself. I want to brown it real well. Once I brown all the pork, I'll actually turn it down a little bit to finish cutting up this meat. Now you can also make, and you'll see in other episodes, we have beef fajitas, we have chicken fajitas. One of my favorites is adding shrimp to the fajita meat itself, and we'll show that in an entirely different cooking show. Now it's a little bit more expensive to prepare just because of the cost of the shrimp, but it sure adds a unique flavor to it. So we'll get some other recipes. Oh, good. Thank you, baby. My daughter just brought in some of the other ingredients for the pork fajitas. She brought it in, obviously, in our Disket grocery shopping bag. Another way we're trying to be more green, along with our other recycling efforts. We have this grocery bag available through our accessories page of the website. You click on there and get that thing ordered. You also look for our Disket deal section, where occasionally we'll offer this as a free gift when you order a disket, or we'll also do some other things where we'll offer this as another additional value. If you'd like to send us a recipe or show us a video of you cooking your recipe on your disket, send us a note. We'll send you a free Disket grocery bag. Anyhow, what Destiny brought, we got some Mexican fancy shredded 4 cheese, got cheddars and mozzarella's and whatnot. She brought us some flour tortillas, some sea salt, some salsa, fajita seasoning, all right, sour cream, and some guacamole. Let me put this up to the side here. Thank you. Now I'm cooking on this with a pretty high heat right now. Again, I want to get the meat cooked. I want to brown it real well. Once I get it all brown, I'll turn it down a little bit. Now I've already pre-cut some of the vegetables. We got, as I mentioned, we got green bell peppers, we got red bell peppers, some onions. Another thing that's a nice addition to it, which I did not prepare for this one, is some mushrooms. You can cut up some mushrooms and add at the very end. Give another little bit more flavor as well. So I'm going to spice this up just a little bit. Add a little bit of this Montreal steak seasoning. I know it's a little bit different for pork, but it adds a little bit different flavor. And then my fajita mix, which has garlic and some onion, some other stuff in it as well. I'll keep mixing that up a little bit. I won't add the vegetables until the meat is pretty much all the way cooked. A little bit of sea salt. Here's some of the questions that people have sent in to us is what can be cooked on the disket and what cannot. And it's pretty interesting because we found very few recipes that we can't cook on a disket. And we're going to be trying some different stuff here in the near future. We had a request recently about doing donuts on the disket. So in the upcoming episode, you'll see us making disket donuts. Tried it once before and it was came out really neat. But you'll find as you click through our recipe sections on the blog, you'll see different recipes on all kinds of different things, from bananas Foster to disket dogs, obviously steaks, pork chops. I'm working on a really nice spinach casserole. We've done some really neat stuff like asparagus on the disket. Again, it just really goes to show you how versatile this cooking tool really is. So I'm taking red bell peppers. Now this one's pretty large, so I'm actually going to cut it half here and then I'm going to slice it up. I don't want the slices to be too small, so I'm cutting them about 3/8 of an inch strips, wide strips. Now obviously we've already pulled the seeds out of the bell pepper. And then we're not going to add the vegetables into the meat again until it's pretty much all the way cooked up. You don't want the vegetables to become too soggy from the moisture and the steam of the meat that's cooking. Nice and fresh, nice and crisp vegetables. It's funny how the different meals we've been preparing on the disket have gotten my kids eating a lot more vegetables than they did before. Wait till you see the disket dog recipe in an upcoming video. Our kids weren't all that big on some of those vegetables, but it takes a hot dog to a brand new level. So I'm going to check the pork at this time. I'm just going to take one of the bigger pieces and I'm going to cut it open, take a visual look to see how that's coming along. Got a little ways to go yet. Yeah, it's nice and white inside, there's no pink, so it's just about done. Now I'm using a metal spatula on the disket. People ask if you have to use just metal or if you want to use plastic or if you want to use whatever. The disket is pretty versatile. You can use whatever you want. What you don't want to do if you're using a metal spatula or a knife in this case is just digging into the steel itself, because you'd be scraping off the seasoning that you've worked so hard on to prepare your cooking disc. All right, so this is just about done. I'm going to turn that down. Now, I don't know if you can see, but there's really no oil in there. So I'm going to add just a touch, just so I can saute my vegetables in the center.